So, good evening, everyone. Happy to see you on our first podcast, first episode this year. And I have really interesting presentation and a great guest. But first of all, let me quickly introduce myself and tell about our sponsors, because it's sometimes it's very important part of the any conference. So I am Oleksandr Moskalyuk. I have more than 20 years in IT, and I am certified cybersecurity analyst. So I understand something, a little bit about cybersecurity. So I hope I can support Bindu in our conversation. Also, in most of the episodes, we have Rainer with us, but today he will skip. He is the founder of BA Day, but today I will be alone. And thanks to our sponsors, so we have Deutsche Telekom, our primary sponsor, and also we have IRAB, IBO, and Masventa, who support our conference and hope to see you all. They will have their booths or information about them during our conference, so just visit our website and, of course, join our conference. And my guest today is Bindu. Bindu, please tell a few words about yourself, because I know you have really interesting career and now you're trying to introduce more, to tell more people, educate more people about cybersecurity.
Thank you, Alexander. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me on your show, if I can say that. And I can see some familiar and new faces as well. So hello to everyone. Thank you for joining. Yes, I am Bindu Channaveerappa. As Alexander just introduced, I've been in the BA profession, if I can remember, all my life. However, with the title as a business analyst, it's nearly 2 decades now. Started off as a systems analyst developer doing a lot of analysis and development as well, which I always say was my first love. So yeah, as I've been kind of working as a BA and then a BA consultant, from my very personal experience, I realized that cybersecurity is something that now, as BAs, we have to include that within our analysis so that we can deliver a complete analysis. And I've been kind of working on this initiative, went back to uni, studied, and working, I think, almost now 7-8 years. I also had the opportunity, just after I completed my studies on cybersecurity, to contribute into IIBA's cybersecurity certification. And since then, I've been kind of being a very vocal and a keen advocate on sharing this imperative message that as BAs, cybersecurity analysis should be within our holistic analysis. And it's not technical purely as we always think it is technical, because that's the by default understanding we all have, but it's more than that. So as I was doing that for several years, I also had the opportunity to write a book on cybersecurity for business analysts, specifically with BCS Publishing, and which was just launched last summer. And again, since then, I've been kind of talking about the book as well. And this is basically a bridge between business analysis and cybersecurity, because so far we've been just having cybersecurity or any security related stuff as our NFRs only. So this is something we, for at least for most of us, we think, okay, how do we do that? So this particular initiative, along with the book, I'm also trying to increase the scope of the awareness that I am currently doing this within the profession. And anybody who basically uses BA skills is through writing articles and podcasts, which are just coming up soon now, and through a platform called Cybersecurity for Business Analysts. And of course, now, along with that, I was part of the CCA training, but from 2025 this year, I will be officially an EEP, and I'll be able to deliver a CCA training as well. So yeah, it's everything to do about cybersecurity within the BA space is currently my mission, that I want every business analyst to be aware of it as a first step and then educate so that we can holistically include cybersecurity within the BA space. So that is the mission I am on currently.
Yeah, and it's really important. Oh, I have a great news. We have Rainer with us. Hi, Rainer.
Hello, Rainer.
Happy...
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. You?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have Rainer today with us, and it's great. So, because I know Rainer is a certified business analyst with cybersecurity as well, and I think we will have a really interesting discussion tonight. And again, from my unfortunate personal experience, I know that cybersecurity is very important, and I can't express it how important it is, because recent cyber attack from Russians on our law ministry, they just broke a lot of databases. And from information that I have, that the reason was that they were built without cybersecurity in mind, if you call it this way. So there was they just missed all these cybersecurity requirements, not all, but many of them, and mostly because the stakeholders didn't understand the importance of these things. So I should say that for business analysts, we can bring, as a business analyst, we can bring a lot to cybersecurity now, and it's really important to understand how it works, yeah, and what we can do there. So, Bindu, what should we talk about tonight?
I think one part, as you just mentioned, in most of the sessions, we talk about, oh, you know what, this happened, this incident happened. The incidents are very, very interesting. So yes, and it's very curious, and it also, like it makes us, the jaw drop. Wow, what is that happened? Is this the damage happened? So that's one side of it. However, I think we all understand now it is an important subject. I think it's more important for us to now look at how, as BAs, we can, create another level of scaffolding to the whole security posture, and how we can help by actually what's that we can do is more important, because we all recognize that, yes, it is important. And every day we hear and we read about the cyber incidents here and there and everywhere. So I think it's time for us to kind of just, okay, what can we do? So focusing more on that is quite important, I feel.
Yeah, and I think the career of in cybersecurity can be really interesting for BAs as well.
Yes, I think that is something is an interesting thing, and I will be kind of, just sharing a bit of that as well. I would love to do that. That's again, I think it's an interesting thing. And also I feel as BAs, okay, we are analysts, okay, we have been doing business analysis, so we are business analysts. So if we analyze technical, we are technical analysts. If we analyze data, we are data analysts. So similarly, if we analyze cybersecurity, we'll become cybersecurity analysts. So the core is our analysis skills. So I believe that if a person can, do analysis, that means they have their skills and the personality and the mindset to do that. It doesn't matter where we are doing. So yes, that is where I would like to kind of share some information as well. So some of our analysts can also think about extending their services to different domains as well.
Yeah, and again, because we are all business analysts first of all, so we should understand how we can use our basic technical knowledge in business analysis for cybersecurity. It's also really interesting, and I think it's a lot of techniques we use in business analysis just will be really good in cybersecurity as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there is again, referring to the book, there are chapters which actually focuses on how we can extend our toolbox to cybersecurity as well. And I think that's one of our presentation topic as well for the BA conference. So yeah, I'm looking forward to present that as well.
Yeah, it will be really interesting discussion. Yeah, because we have at least 3 sessions now about cybersecurity during the conference, and we're planning to have a discussion panel as well on this topic. So it will be really interesting. But anyway, let's come back to our agenda. And what do you think about upscaling, cybersecurity upscaling for business analysts? So is it just horizontal growth or vertical growth, or it's just, I don't know, some special skills?
No, I wouldn't say special skills, but I would say a little bit of the knowledge. But anyway, before that, let's look at, because we are talking about 2 areas here, business analysis and cybersecurity. So let's look at that separately. First of all, I think from a BA perspective, upskilling is very, very essential. We all know that, first of all, to stay relevant, to be effective and valuable in our roles as BAs that we do, especially when current landscape is so changing rapidly. So looking at the generations of the profession, how it has grown, I believe looking back at my own career, I started off in the second wave, if we can call it as the waves. The first wave, of course, I believe was, I think in the 70s and 80s, where they were pure BAs who were analyzing the business itself, which was more, the scope was focused more on streamlining the business processes and making it more efficient and reduce those costs. And later on in 90s, when the automation of repetitive tasks and calculations and report generations using computers started off. And again, I think that was the point where those structured approaches were introduced, like software development lifecycle or those SSAD frameworks, software systems analysis and design. So that's exactly where my introduction into this career happened. So as a systems analyst developer, it was all about understanding what the business needs and how we can automate those repetitive tasks, report generation, basically, automating it was thing we were called as electronic data processing as well. So that was the second kind of wave. And later on, I think with 2000, with the agile wave, the focus was more on making our delivery more efficient with all the different agile frameworks, delivery methods. And as we can see now, the focus is more on the data, because everything is based on the data and the technology. So now when we talk about, or when we take analysis skill set to analyze the data, as I was just saying, the whole essence is what is the value of the product, or wherever we are applying technology, there has to be cybersecurity. So we are still kind of using the same analysis core skills, but we are adapting based on how our business or the technical or the environment is actually changing. So today we are at that point in time where technology and business are growing in all directions, and we are at the time of making that shift again. So from a cybersecurity perspective as well, it has gone through different waves. So Wendt, who is a very prominent researcher and academic in the field of information security, I've actually written about that as well, the research as well in the book for more details. But just to give you the 4 different waves, as per his study, is the first wave, which again happened at the similar time, around 1980s during the mainframe era, where he calls it as a technical wave then, where the focus to manage information security was around, the user IDs, the passwords, or the role-based access around those mainframe systems. And later in mid-90s, again, when the internet and the distributed computing era was then, it was the second wave, in which he calls it as a management wave, where the focus was getting the attention of the senior management, realizing the importance of information security and thereby introducing a security policy, the training programs, or all of those things. So, which again, as you just explained, Oleksandr, we are still struggling there, because in the recent incident that you shared, the management never didn't realize the impact or the depth of that risk. So the third wave, again, is called the institutional wave, during which the focus was on the best practices and standardization of information security management, basically embedding security considerations, frameworks, like, for example, using the ISO, BSI, whatever those standards are during our development lifecycle. Again, we are still falling short on that. And following this was the governance wave, which emphasizes on corporate governance responsibilities. Like, it could be GDPR, it could be anything. So again, the organizations taking that responsibility to actually have those things inbuilt as well as part of their security objectives, their strategies. So basically positioning information security as a key part in the corporate governance. Again, as we can see, all of these, although they are different waves, we are still falling short in all of these. And the final wave, what he calls it as, Wonsoms calls it as commodity wave, where he believes that information security should be something like any other entity. You don't have to bother about it. Yes, we have an issue, we are going to solve it, and we're going to address it. So it shouldn't become like a priority, or it shouldn't become something where, you know, everybody is concerned. And however, he challenges himself by saying that whether this would be, you know, this would happen or not, because of many factors, and human is predominantly one of the biggest factor that he identifies. So my point here is, if you look at these four waves from the cybersecurity angle, we are falling short. And from a BA perspective as well, we can see where exactly we are. And currently, due to the ongoing expansion and the increasing complexities of both business as well as technologies, because technology is supporting the business, so business is expanding as well. Addressing and mitigating each and every risk, you know, is always a challenge. We know that every risk cannot be managed anyway. However, I believe that we all have to identify, and as an organization, consciously make a decision to say whether we're going to address it or we're not going to address it, and if we are addressing it, how we are going to address it. Because if we don't know, then we won't be prepared to actually deal with it. So that is where, you know, the BS support will be another layer of scaffolding to build very secured products, or even for the organization security posture. So, as I always say, cybersecurity is about recognizing the value, and as BS, we are co-creating that value, recognizing that value of what we hold, the information, the products, whatever it is, and at the same time, realizing the risk of losing it and the impacts of that loss. So once we understand this, then I think we will be in a position to actually say, okay, we are at least prepared for whatever is going to happen, and we are going to deal with it accordingly. So that is where I feel from both sides, we are at that point. As a BA, it is very, very important for us to do this. And of course, yes, to do that, we need to understand and educate ourselves a little bit of the cybersecurity knowledge. Like, as I spoke about, you know, earlier, when a pure BA who was working only on the business, when we started working with technical systems, we had to understand, oh, what's a database? What is a field? What is a row? What is a table? So I think we just adapted ourselves to kind of understand that language so that we can build and we can work as BAs. I think we were also termed as systems analysts then. So similarly, now when we are working with data teams, we understand, okay, data has to be, you know, sorted, cleansed and stored in different databases, or those different storage cloud. You know, we have all of these, and we are learning and we are supporting those data teams. So similarly, when we're talking about technology, because today we cannot operate without technology, no matter what we are doing, whether it's personal or organizational, professional lives. So when there is technology, there has to be cybersecurity. So I always call it as two ends of the stick. When you pick up one end of the stick, you inevitably pick up the other end of the stick. So there's no question of you taking it or not. So cybersecurity has to be part of it. So, which means that as a BA, we need to learn those cybersecurity vocabularies, and we need to understand, okay, who are those cybersecurity stakeholders? When should we involve them in our conversation? Why should we involve them? How are they going to contribute? What happens if I don't involve them? So as a BA, there is a little bit of those learning, which we anyway have to do with any other profession or any other, ways that we are expanding. And we have to do this, again, as I started this conversation by saying that we have to do this to stay relevant, effective, and being valuable. And I think it's a responsibility as a PA. If our project has technology, then cybersecurity has to be part of it.
Yeah, and what I can add, that understanding the difference, this 4 waves, and understanding on what wave, let's say this one, our stakeholders are, so we can provide them with enough information, also with some education to help them to understand the whole picture. Because again, sometimes they are only on data, let's
Yes.
data, analysis wave. They don't understand that it's a whole system, that there is some frameworks, and they should govern this, not just control data flow and access.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, Oleksandr. We have to identify where exactly they are on this wave, and then we have to work from there. Absolutely.
Yeah, and understanding, what each wave means, and what tools, what knowledge should we have just to provide to our stakeholders, and what decisions can we make as well on these levels. Because again, coming to stakeholders that think about only just protecting data with some governance advice won't work, I think.
Yeah, it's because they're not aware, as you rightly said. It's all about awareness. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, realizing it.
Yeah, and cybersecurity. Yeah, where is technology? There should be for sure cybersecurity, and we should just keep thinking about this, because I think in most of the cases we just don't think about this.
Yeah.
Just somehow it will work. Somehow nothing will happen, but
Yeah, it will work, but it may not be the way we wanted it to work.
yeah, and there is huge amount of examples, when people just got problems from the things they did ever never thought that there can be something else, like vacuum cleaner, with their cameras and microphones and everything else.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that is where I always kind of in my presentations also I say this, the more technology expands, the more controls we need. So which means the more secure cybersecurity we need. And when we're talking about more cybersecurity, the more controls we need. And that control can be people, technology, manual, anything. There are different ways of addressing a situation or a problem. But the more we expand, the more cybersecurity also expands.
Yeah, and the more risks we have. So we should control and be able to manage all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it sounds like we will have a lot of job to do. Yeah, as business analysts as well. Yeah. Let's talk
Absolutely.
about growth, the career in cybersecurity for business analysts.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can go to the next slide, please.
Yeah. So we have a huge market, and there will be a lot of job to do.
Absolutely. And as you can see, the estimated, approximation of the talent that the professionals that we need is 5.5 million. However, the shortfall is 4.8 million to meet that demand. So as we can just see, the skills gap represents both challenges and also the opportunities. As BA, we see both. So the demand for cybersecurity talent is not just a business need, it's actually a global imperative today. So because as I mentioned, everything is tech enabled, and we need, wherever there's technology, we need cybersecurity. So this staggering shortfall highlights the urgent need for strategic action, including expanding. It's just because many times, when I talk to people, I am working on cybersecurity, training and all that. By default, they think, oh, it's about the training, about being aware of cybersecurity. But no, it's more than that. It is encouraging reskilling as well, and also, like as I was just mentioning, that as BAs, it should be holistically part of our analysis. So when we start, having these efforts, upskilling efforts to address the critical workforce challenge and also the business need to protect, that is when, we will be actually addressing this shortfall. So the one challenge, which is in cybersecurity compared to any other, which I believe is also the reason for shortfall, is every time there is a cyber attack, it's more sophisticated, or it is, more something bigger than the previous one. So that means as organizations, they always have to, catch up. But that's the nature of this business, and that is one of the reasons why, there's a constant pressure, there's a constant, keeping up is required. But I guess today, the way we are expanding, there is no other goal than, catching up. I think AI, as an example, when we take, everybody wants to kind of ride on that AI wave. Yes, because that's the hot thing. There's money in that they're getting, which is true. I'm not denying any of those. However, as a BA, we always kind of, the mind always starts thinking, whatever we see, we kind of, any assumptions, we try to see why it is the case, and, what is it? Is it really the case? What is the understanding? What's the rationale? We always, and we see the impacts as well. So looking at whatever, as AI is just as an example here. So what are those impacts? Are we even taking that moment to actually look at those? So that is where I think as a BA, we can really add value. And so in this field as well, yes, it is changing. The way the attacks are happening is changing, the way they are, because there are a lot many endpoints, there are a lot many, opportunities for whether it is from social engineering to sophisticated technology and everything in between. There can be vulnerabilities and threats. However, to address all of this, one thing which is common is having the foundation of a security mindset. Because once we have a security mindset, everywhere at every point, automatically we try to see, okay, this is happening from a security lens now. Is it secured? Because at that time, we are just not ticking the boxes. Today, if you look at, many organizations who are very sophisticated, highly technological oriented, they are still, and they have all the systems in place, they have the teams in place, they have the latest frameworks implemented. In spite of those, they are the victims of cybersecurity. And the fundamental reason for that is the lack of security mindset. So having this mindset really helps us to kind of build. So I think as a BA, this is something we, with our analysis skills, when we have this, every time we can start questioning, okay, this, you say this is what we do, what happens in this case, or why is it really secured? What are those things that we need to take care? So we start applying our analysis skills to identify the risks and the vulnerabilities and the threats. And based on that, because now there is an asset, for example, okay, we just write requirements to say, okay, the data has to flow into this database, and then from there, some manipulations will happen and the process will continue to somewhere. But we are not looking at a security lens at all, other than the NFRs. So when we start looking at who has access it, who doesn't have access it, who can change it, who cannot change it, why is this, and who are all the other entities that will access this information. So when we start looking at it from so many different lenses, then we can start analyzing them, including security as part of it, and then we define requirements accordingly based on those impacts as well. So which means as part of it, we are also educating the teams and whoever, those decision makers as well. We don't have to be experts, as I always say, but we need to be aware of what are those, if there are any compliance requirements. Okay, what are those compliance requirements? And of course, there are always SMEs in the compliance team where I can go and reach out to. There are always expertise in the cybersecurity team and the technical teams where I can go, but I need to understand what are those basic knowledge that I need to be aware of. And of course, when we are proposing the solutions based on what our analysis says, then we can say, okay, we have done the risk analysis. This threat has this particular, priority or based on the impacts. Then we can also start having those conversations in terms of the solutions and even designing those solutions. So once we understand what are those threats, what are those threat actors, we can start creating personas for threat actors as well. We can start writing scenarios, what can go wrong, so that we can ensure that those aspects are considered in the design itself, rather than thinking about, oh yeah, what happens about this scenario later on, because security is not an afterthought. It has to be thought from the beginning. So these are some of the things as BAs we can do. And I also say that if you go to the next screen, please, Oleksandr. So as you can see, there's a big talent shortage anyway. So as BAs, if we want to take our analysis skills further into the cybersecurity domain itself, there's always a lot of growth, as you can see from a basic BA foundation, like where you're getting into cybersecurity. There are few courses where you can learn about it, get certified, and then you can actually even move to the cybersecurity domain as well. But one thing we know for sure, as long as there is technology, there needs to be cybersecurity. So another way to secure or stay relevant and have that job is, this is again another domain as BAs we can support, as well as we can make a career as well. So yeah, again, upskilling is just not it is a career advantage for business analysts anyway, but it is also a necessity because, as I mentioned, we are expanding so much, and the very dynamic nature of the business itself, it is always we adapt and we try to be relevant, and that's exactly this also will help us.
Yeah, and we have a great comment from Rainer that that rarely cybersecurity requirements are coming from sales or business people, and I think it's just a common understanding that's business making money, and cybersecurity just trying to use some of this money just for something they don't need. Yeah, and they look at cybersecurity just as another costs, expenses, not just something very useful for them.
Yes, you're absolutely right, but I think slightly that is also changing, given that cybersecurity is making so much of noise and getting the attention of the decision makers. I think it is slowly getting that momentum. People are realizing, I mean, basically it is not a cost, it is an investment. Because I think that is where the management would like to hear and see, because what we invest here is actually kind of return as well. How do we get this return? So if we can start, having that conversation in their language, is something, I think that is where we can see that win. But yes, organizations are now getting to understand that.
Yeah, and Rainer,
So just a short comment from my side. What I've seen is that in the recent years, the business, or let's say the people with the money, the investors, the project sponsors, they are not questioning whether part of the cakes or the budget has to be given to the security people because it is absolutely necessary. So nobody is doubting or is let's say annoyed that money is flowing into a channel where no direct business benefit or profit can be gained, because after we've had so many bad situations with security. Simply think of the last Volkswagen leak again. Yeah, I mean, there are millions of damage which are, or which can be balanced with this investment. And the investments, of course, they are quite high. If you have, for example, this CIS, this hardening program from the internet security. There's hundreds of thousands of euro going into this channel. But on the other hand, if you have a leakage, then you will lose millions quickly within few hours. And so there is always a justification, and it's no longer seen just as a cost center or let's say a hole where the money is flowing into. It's absolutely important. I would say it's indispensable in between.
You're right, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's where I've started using the word investment now, because that's exactly it's indispensable, and it is actually not a cost. Because if we actually look in the longer run, it can, I think in the business cases, we need to actually also include, I'm just thinking out loud here, like, if there is a ransom, what are we going to pay? So what is the investment that we are doing now by making sure those features or the controls, whatever we are trying to work on, is there? Or I think, again, there's another comment here, the penalties for GDPR or the DORA now would be even more expensive. So, and that's again, and the reputation, what's the price we can actually attach to that? So these are the things. Definitely now it's slightly tilting or shifting.
Yeah, and also there is even a calculation of ROI specified for cybersecurity investments, where they just replace return on investment, just cost of avoided risks. And in this case,
yeah,
we start talking about, we're showing that it's really investments. And a small thing I wanted to add, that the role of business analyst is growing because by helping business to understand the importance of cybersecurity, we're making this business more resilient and more stable in long run. So it's always a good thing just to build a great foundation in our IT systems, just to make it resilient and stable for future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So
maybe one point from my side I would like to share. What I see in my current project. We have a project with around about 100 stakeholders. So in different part projects or sub projects. We have infrastructure, we have SAP, we have HR, we have portals, we have all the things you can think of in a huge company, because it's a completely new company which is starting to exist, which is being built up currently. And what I see is that money for security is not the point. Everybody is completely fine with giving money, putting money into security, no question. But another point is more and more coming up, which is that usability and maintainability and flexibility, scalability, all this non-functional IT, I call them IT requirements. They are sometimes very much restricted by what the security guys want. And we have had some hard negotiations where even the security guys have taken a step back in order not to make too hard compromises on these IT requirements. Because imagine if you have just completely encapsulated all servers or small islands into VNets, into virtual networks. Then you have later on, you have so many VNets that they really become hard to manage. And then the people who have to maintain the servers and the VNets for the different business sections, they have so hard conditions that they slow down. And then you have security requirements standing against time to market requirements, standing against cost for changes. And this is something which is really, really interesting currently, how to balance this out. Because what you cannot do, this is for everybody. You cannot say, I have my maximum level of requirements and I will put everything through. Let's say as a security guy, even as a security guy, you have to go for compromises with the business and the other people in order to have a working company. Otherwise, you might be able as security guy to slow down a company in a way that it has probably competitive disadvantages.
Yeah. And I think in this case, business analyst can be a moderator between business,
absolutely.
Development team and the IT team. And
Good point.
let's talk about our skills as a business analyst.
Yeah, just before that, I think there's a question from Gottfried that do the regulations like DORA or NIST be part of business requirements, or are they part of cybersecurity? So basically today, I think that is where the distinction, where we would leave, okay, they are security and it's not part of what we do. If something is an essential part of the business, can the business run without these, being compliant to these, then it is a business requirement, doesn't matter. So I'm not very pedantic to say it has to sit under what category, because we are making the transitions, but as long as our organization, or depending on the data, what we have, if we need to be compliant, then it is definitely a part of the business requirements. It's the way I see. I hope that question is answered. Okay.
Yeah.
BA skills are transferred within cybersecurity. Absolutely. I think that's what I've mentioned earlier as well. If you go to the next slide, Oleksandr, thank you. So as we can see here, all of our tools and techniques, or the skills and the frameworks and the competencies, everything are transferable. I don't want to talk about much on this because yes, we do have a session dedicated where we actually will go through those individual techniques or individual tools to see how exactly we can expand that, or extend that to include cybersecurity. But in a sense, like, analysis is our core skills. No matter what we do, we have those, and we are analysts because we learn these techniques. We know how to use these techniques, where to use these techniques, and what are the frameworks and what are the tools I need, and the competencies as a BA as well, whether it is the mindset or it is our soft skills that we bring in. All of these are a package which makes us an analyst. So we were doing business analyst, we are called business analysts. So if we take that to cybersecurity area, we become the cybersecurity analyst. But again, there's a journey there. I can still remain a BA, and I would like that. The point I'm trying to make here is the first step is we will still be a business analyst, but we will be including technology or the cybersecurity, because we deal with technology currently. We deal with compliance currently, and that is where we all bring those. However, when we start moving more towards analyzing the technical solutions that have been implemented within the cybersecurity solution. When we are working in that cybersecurity solution domain, then we'll become the cybersecurity analysts. However, we will still take our techniques, our tools. So we would still be doing some, what's the root cause analysis there, or we could still do some SWOT analysis there, or we would still be looking at scenarios there. So it doesn't matter where we do, these skills are definitely transferable. And I feel we have to use this in the different domains, for one, because that's our unique selling point, because we are analysts, our mind, and we know the techniques, everything, we are trained to do that. So, and in this space, definitely more so, because one is everything is technology. Wherever there is technology, we need this. And also, this has a very good cause of securing our value, because it's just that we need not be, because all of us, or most of us in the organization, are focused on value co-creation, but very, just one part or a few people, whereas each and everyone is responsible for security. It's just not one person. So I think from that perspective as well, we will have to do, and all our skills are transferable.
Yeah, and what I like in your book, in this section where you just say how in each of these 6 knowledge areas from BA book, we can use all this information and we can just embed the cybersecurity knowledge and improve with cybersecurity knowledge all our tasks as a business analyst.
Yes, yeah, that particular framework is, as an example, one of the frameworks where actually how we can extend, so that currently when we as BAs, we are working on any of those knowledge areas, we can also pick up and we can extend that, which we should be extending is what the message there. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I can add here that yeah, in very often sometimes we can use our let's say hard skills for creating some special requirements for cybersecurity, but often we can be moderators between stakeholders, development team, and IT support security team, just to help them to find this win-win, so we can grow our company, we can do business, and also we can feel secured and can be secured. And I think it's
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably, again, if I can remember, almost every point where, a cybersecurity extension I have included in the book, the first point is, as a facilitator, we can bring in our facilitation skills to actually, have those conversations, because yes, we don't understand, but however, we are there, all of us are there to kind of work towards that project, or take the project, to wherever it needs to go, in whatever the directions. And as we are currently doing with other stakeholders, we will just have another stakeholder, or we'll be doing another conversation there. But again, the facilitation skills are transferable.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is during my current project. So very often, just when I get some question from one stakeholder from one team, and just go into another one and say, "Okay, guys, there is a question from them. Just please answer and go. Let's go with me. Come with me, and let me help you to talk with each other." Just because, because of lack of communication, sometimes there is some huge issues that can be really solved just during this short meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are getting to the end of our workshop and or podcast. Sorry, because in my mind I'm thinking about your workshop during the conference, and I know it will be a special one. So please, Bindu, tell us more about your workshop that we will have.
Okay, so the workshop that I'm offering for the conference is actually a CCA certification. So you will, the opportunity is to have the CCA preparation training for 2 days, which will be one before the sessions and after the sessions, and 2 days or 2 full days of CCA preparation training, so that at the end of it, you will be ready for CCA exam. As part of it, we will go through, we will complete the syllabus, as well as you will also receive a set of sample questions as well, so that you can prepare for your CCA exam. So like, as I said, from 2025 this year, I am officially endorsed from IIBA as an EEP provider. So that means I will be able to deliver the CCA training as well. And this is part of the workshop, which will be offered.
And in addition to this, you will get free conference ticket where you can listen, to the session, Bindu session, and also we have some other sessions about cybersecurity and business analysis. So it's a great opportunity just to get this training and also get more information about business analysis and cybersecurity. So, but also you will have a session as well during the conference. So it will be from business analysis to cybersecurity, and you will talk about extending this tools and techniques. So we will deep more in this, how we can use business analysis knowledge, tools, and techniques in cybersecurity analysis. Okay, so we will have some time for questions, but in the presentation you can find the QR code to cybersecurity for business analysts.com website where you can buy a book from Bindu, and also, of course, link to LinkedIn profile where you can contact Bindu anytime and with any questions. Again, we would be happy to see you all at our conference in May. So you can find tickets on BA Day, or I will share a link in details of this workshop, or sorry, podcast again. And we have some time for questions. So we can discuss. Please ask your questions. You can just unmute or just write it in the chat.
I mean, even if you don't have questions, what was your takeaway or, an action point that you would like to implement? We would love to hear about that as well.
I have a question. Is there any data around statistics or from big analysis companies? What is the cost part for security, cybersecurity in current projects? So what I've seen is very often cost is coming down to FTEs, to experts. You have 4, 5, 6 security people. This is the dimension we have now in our big project, and then you have probably a couple of systems or software licenses like CIS, as I've put in the chat. And what is your experience? So if it comes, for example, to software maintenance, then you directly have a kind of factor. You can say, okay, it's 20% or something. Do you have something, just a rule of thumb for the big IT projects, let's say in energy, utilities, or in the most critical branches?
No, the answer would be no, I don't have. And also, I think as a typical business analyst's answer, we say it all actually depends on how critical those systems are. Because based on the criticality of those systems, or the assets as we call, and that's where, as part of, when you look at the risk register, you will understand what is that asset and what are those vulnerabilities and threats. So every time when you have, whether it is a maintenance or it is a first-time investment, irrespective of that, it all based on the impacts and the criticality of it. So that is where I don't think so there would be a rule of thumb, unless and until, because let's say if SAP is used by so many different organizations, or a Salesforce, because those are the common applications. So every organization uses that in a different way, and every organization's what they store in that, the data depends on what is the sensitivity of that data. So there are so many factors. So it is very, it would be wrong to kind of define, to say without understanding the criticality of information that's in there to say,
Yes.
this is what it is.
I see your point. What I'm after is that if you, as a, let's say, overall responsible project manager, if you see that the budgets are too tight, that you cannot afford a security team as you want, and that you need to have some arguments to get more budget, then it would probably help if you have branches or industries. And if you say most of the industries, let's say of energy, are investing 10% of their overall project budget into security. If such data would exist, then it would help us, meaning the project managers who are trying to get the money from the investors, from the sponsors, to build up a line of arguments.
Yeah, I understand your point, which again, I always also say that when you're presenting your business case, always use the example of other organizations similar in your domain, and that's exactly what you're referring to here. But I do not know if that particular information specifically to any domain, probably you might kind of, look up and say, again, I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, for example, if it is a healthcare, try to identify what are those incidents that have happened in your domain, and see, okay, look, these are, the number of incidents that have happened this year, for example, and compared to last year or 5 years, again, based on the information. And again, there are different, for every domain, there are different statistics available, research data available as well. So it all depends on how depth you want that information, and identify, okay, comparatively, in the last 5 years to this year, this is the growth, or this is where the incidents have increased, which means if we were investing something like 10% as an example in the last 5 years, looking at the current trend now, we will have to increase it. So again, I think the individual domains have to do. I am not particularly aware of any of those research data.
Yeah, and I think even in the same domain, for different organizations can be different numbers again, because risk appetite can be different. Yeah, for different companies, because it's business. Yeah, sometimes you can just have a higher risk appetite and just get more income. Yeah, in some, because you can use the current market situation. Or on the other hand, you just build up the strong security system and you have resilient and I don't know, long life, yeah, for your company and for your clients, etc. So again, I think it's
really, a case by case. Yeah,
it's really hard to calculate.
It will be wrong as well. It is hard, yes, and it will be wrong as well, because it may not be accurate. So it has to be addressed case by case.
Yeah. And it can be some just excuse to say, for business, okay, guys, there is a separate average, 5% of, I don't know, of IT budget should be cybersecurity, so here is a budget. But in our case, it can be totally not enough, for this. Yeah, for current project.
Yeah. I see your point,
I think we have a great takeaway from Gottfried, reminding myself that cybersecurity is investment in the future, and we should do it as a I don't know, some motto of track. For the conference, because it makes cybersecurity more appealing for people.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe other questions? So there is nothing. So Bindu, thank you very much. For it was really interesting conversation. So I'm waiting for your session and your workshop at our conference. Rainer, happy to see you with us. Hope to see you at next podcast as well. And thank you everyone to everybody. Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. And have a nice evening. And see you next time.
Thank you very much, Oleksandr and Reina, for inviting me. It was a lovely conversation, very good, insightful discussions. And thank you all for joining, taking the time and being interactive with your chat. And we would love to see you all at the conference for the workshop sessions and all other brilliant sessions that the team has lined up for us. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.